What's up, guys? We are live on YouTube and Twitch with my dude and mattvs.politics, and we are going to be debating Kyle Rittenhouse. Is that correct? Kyle Rittenhouse situation in general. Uh, yeah, it should be an interesting conversation. I don't know if you guys want to wait a second, let people get in here. We get 10. They're popping in, so we're live. We're good. Yeah, if you guys want to start off with open statements, whatever, ball out.
You want to go ahead, Tommy?
Oh yeah, I won't get all. This is supposed to be an open forum type thing, so I won't get all specific. Kyle Rittenhouse very clearly committed murder, 2 counts, several other charges at that, and that's my position on that, and has been.
Okay. I'll just say, I'll keep it real brief too. I'll just start off saying actually, just so clear up the water, just make sure no implications or whatever. I would never unironically call Kyle a hero. Just because you have the right to do something does not mean you should do it, or just because you have the right to do something morally does not mean you should do it. He probably shouldn't have been there, and he probably should not have had the gun legally, just as a common sense practice. But beyond that, I think from the evidence that is available, I think he was morally justified in doing what he did.
So what is your depth of knowledge on the case, just so I'm aware?
Pretty good. I looked into it quite a bit very early on. Looked at a lot of different things, and I think I have a pretty good grasp on it. Yeah, I mean, generally. Actually, and maybe we could go, if you have, do you have any like starting place that you really want to start with? I have one thing that I was actually wanting to get out of the way if you don't have anything.
Go ahead and start with whatever you want to. We'll work our way around there.
Okay. Before we actually get into the morality of the two situations. I mean, obviously they're connected, but maybe we can just call them like the two situations for now. Before I wanted to get in that, I wanted to I didn't want to end up pivoting to this at one point. So I thought maybe we could talk about one of the things you said, which obviously it seems like we have a pretty strong opinion about concerning BLM, which is you said, quote, Kyle Rittenhouse was there because he was brainwashed to believe that BLM are nothing but violent radicals that want to destroy stuff. Maybe you can give me maybe you can elaborate on why you believe that so strongly.
Great. Can you, is there a way you can turn your mic up? I'm on live right now. So
yeah, you're a little low.
Let me see.
I can hear you, but I got headphones on and stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. Is that any better at all?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, it's yeah.
You had a test?
Check.
Are you just using your computer mic, or are you using a mic?
No, I'm using an interface. I don't know how else to. I have pretty much everything up, but maybe
just talk for a second. Let me see if I can turn it up on my end a little bit.
Check. 1, 2, 3. Check. 1, 2. Check.
I mean, I can hear you. Chat. Can you hear him? Gonna get a 1 in the chat if you can hear him.
You guys good on my end?
You said it does sound good on your end, Tommy?
Okay.
That's okay.
Oh, no, I just want to make sure my chat can hear. I think it's pretty simple. We've seen an increase in militia groups show up. It's been in response to BLM. This is nothing new. It happened in the 60s as well. And basically, I mean, we're not talking about an inherent hatred for BLM. We're talking about people that subconsciously believe that Black people are not equal in our society, and they're showing up with guns and force because of the rhetoric going on in our political sphere.
I think you could make a better argument for subconscious hatred, but even then, I think at least with these guys, it's going to be a lot harder to prove. One of the reasons is because let's go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I can hear your point all the way through.
Yeah. One of the reasons is because there's a video of their group specifically saying that the Black Lives, or actually I give 3 points. Sorry. First one would be there's a video of the group actually saying that they are okay with BLM protesters. They don't have any problem with them, and they even say the slogan "Black Lives" or no lives matter until Black Lives Matter. Number
right,
two,
that was after Kyle Rittenhouse had shot and killed 2 people.
Okay, I don't know the context of when that actually took place, so maybe we can just throw that out. But I think the other two are still pretty reasonable, which would be like one, they pretty much said that they were there to protect property, which is understandable given the circumstances, which was that there was protests during the day, and maybe we have a fundamental disagreement on like the distinction between the riots and the protests. I think there's a pretty good distinction there, which I think is fair to say. But um, there's that. I think is that they've pretty much said that they were there to protect the property from the riots because, from what I understand, he was called to go there because someone's property had been destroyed, and so he was asked if he could come help. And then number two, there's video of him literally helping people and giving medical support to them.
Right, they were protecting
that are BLM supporters. Sorry, go ahead.
They were protecting a car lot that was previously vandalized, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my understanding. Okay, I just want to clear that up because they were showing up to defend property that had already been destroyed.
Well, also, I mean, I think so, but I mean, I don't know if the car lot. Maybe I just don't know enough about which car lot it was. The car lot that at least was in those videos, that one didn't look nearly destroyed, but maybe that was just a different car lot. But either way, I mean, if they're there to protect property,
I think it's kind of irrelevant. I mean, it's not his. We'll get into the whole property thing in a second. I think. Yeah. Okay, if you got more, go ahead.
I was just going to say. I mean, yeah. I mean, as far as those 2 points, do you think those are just totally irrelevant to, to that point, or
helping BLM members and
the fact that they said that they were there to stop, violence against personal property from rioters specifically.
I lost you there. I got what you said.
You cut out a little bit there.
Oh, sorry. The BLM support or the BLM medical video, and then aside from that, the fact that they were there to protect personal property from rioters, not protesters necessarily. I mean, do those 2 points just mean nothing, or that's just, I mean, I just want to understand.
Well, to the first one, I mean, Proud Boys are pretty fascist in nature. They're a Western misogynistic group, right?
Well,
there was
part of the Proud Boys?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
There were in Portland when that guy got shot. There were BLM protesters helping him. So it's not that, What I'm talking about is why he was there, because in 2016 or 2015 we didn't see any militia members in Ferguson, and now we're seeing an increase in militia members showing up.
Okay.
And that's sort of what we're seeing is we're seeing these people emboldened by rhetoric, right? Doesn't matter. They just want to play hero or whatever. It doesn't matter. But they're essentially pushing forward the right-wing agenda that the police are irrelevant in dealing with these, that it is up to the individual person. So when we're talking about Kyle Rittenhouse helping a BLM, I don't care, because there's multiple reports of Kyle Rittenhouse pointing guns at them.
How is them being there a statement of saying that the police are irrelevant when he was literally
because they're emboldened,
a big supporter of the police?
Because we're seeing these militia members in certain places and not in others. So we're not seeing them after the Dodgers win the World Series. We're seeing them at BLM protests.
Well, we're seeing them at BLM riots.
No, you're seeing them at
BLM riots. They're just riots. They're not even.
No, they're everywhere. They're all over the place. I've seen them in multiple videos at peaceful protests.
Okay, maybe we're just like muddying the waters here a little bit. But what I'm saying is, like, obviously his militia isn't really connected, or at least maybe.
See, I think this is the problem. I think that you think that it's an overt act that these people are showing up.
No, I don't have any connection to what they're doing necessarily. I don't care about what they're doing. I mean, like, if they want to go show up, that's fine. But I don't have any like passion for militia groups or whatever. I don't have any like inherent love for militia
What
groups.
I'm saying is that there is an inherent belief in this country, right, that we've seen repeated through the civil rights movement to BLM, where white people are trying to undermine the grievances of the minority communities, whether they're knowingly doing it or unknowingly doing it. So when we see these people show up to these protests, they're unknowingly fighting back against unknowingly fighting back against racial equality, because the fact of the matter is they don't care about who actually did the violence, right? They don't care about who destroyed the property.
Well, I think if that were true, then the militias would be there like literally all day.
Well, I would hear a lot more hatred towards white supremacists that are acting as provocateurs and breaking shit.
Maybe we should just answer one. Maybe we're just talking past each other. Maybe I want to have a question answered real quick.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a difference between the BLM protests and the riots, or do you just think they're one and the same? Because you keep on saying protests, but I think there's clear delineation between the riots and the protests.
I think when you have 26 million people show up, you are going to have problems. That's what I think. And I think that there is too much focus on the small destruction of these cities, right? You can say it's $1.5 billion, but every year we pay, and I've tracked it down to at least $1 billion every year or every other year for police brutality, right? You just don't like the optics of it. But the reality is it costs us more money that these police are doing this, right? And I'm not justifying the violence, nor is anyone on BLM, right?
I don't see what your point is. I think I'm not saying that like riots are like I know there's like a lot of conservatives that will be like, you know, mass hysteria, like, oh my God, the riots are dominating everything. If you want to go out and protest, that's fine. But I think it's fair to say there are some riots that have happened, and the people who live in these areas, obviously that's going to affect them, and they wouldn't like the riots. And even if they did like the protests, I think it's okay to recognize that, don't you think, or no?
I don't think anybody's okay with the protests. I think that there's been a concerted effort by the right to label everything as a protest, right? Capitol Hill, the CHOP area, right? Largely peaceful. There were a few shootings. One of them was by a right-wing extremist, right? But it was limited to a city block.
What does this have to do with that?
It has to do with it because you are thinking that there is some major distinction between damage that is happening at these places and peaceful protests.
Yes.
There's not.
There is. I mean, number one, you can have a difference of people that are doing it. There are people that are protesting and not rioting. There, you can have a difference in time. Most of the rioting was happening late at night, which this happened literally at midnight. You can have a difference in motive because they are different people. Some of these people want to protest, which is awesome. And then you have other people that just kind of want to screw crap up, whether they care about the cause or not. I think you can have a massive difference between these two.
Right. It just seems rhetorical. It just seems like rhetoric. That's what it
seems like rhetoric.
The idea that somehow you're classifying two groups of protests, as though there's not bad actors in that group of protesters, but how there's simultaneously two different styles of protesting going on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can say that they are one and the same or even close to one.
Do you think?
I mean, obviously, you're going to have bad apples in the protests, and obviously, you're going to have good people in the riots, right? Or at least, you know, that.
What's your evidence for there being like this subclass of people destroying shit in?
I never said sub. I mean,
separate class. I shouldn't have said subclass. I meant separate class. Like, what do you think? There's like a separate group of people that's just going around destroying shit.
I feel like what I'm saying is giving the people who are protesting, you know, like.
Okay, but I already said we see these people show up to all sorts of different protests, peaceful or not.
Who? What people? The people that
militia groups, armed right-wing, armed people on the right, and for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't care about like where the militia groups show up necessarily, unless they genuinely are there to protect property. If there is something that is going on that resembles a riot, which at night in Kenosha during those protests, at the nighttime of those protests, there was rioting going on, and businesses were being burned. If those people, the militia groups or whatever, if they're there to protect that property, which is their hometown or their area, I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, but it's not okay to use firearms in Wisconsin to protect property that's not yours.
Okay, well that's fine. We can go into that. Right?
Okay, I plan to.
But I guess I just wanted to start off by like trying to establish that point. I mean, maybe we just won't agree that like that they're.
Well, I think do you not see a correlation between these right-wing extremist groups showing up to these protests and now where we are in 2020? Because I don't remember seeing them at other protests.
Well, I mean, also the amount of protests and therefore rioting has gone, up over like at least the last year. And I would say the last 4 years, probably. I mean, you had Ferguson, right? And what was that? 2014?
I think it was 2015.
2015. And, that was like the big event that happened.
2015, 2016.
Yeah, that was like the big event that happened around that time. In 2020, I mean, how many of these have been how many protests have happened? And then as a result, riots have happened. I mean,
so why do you believe that it's the private citizen's job who doesn't own the property to protect it, not the people that we pay to do that? Why do you think that they're more qualified?
I don't necessarily think they're more qualified. I think they have a right to. I mean, we can talk about
Wisconsin law says they don't.
No, hold on. Well, we can hold on. We can get into Kyle. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Right.
I'm talking in general.
But like, I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, but wait, what was your original question? Sorry, you kind of threw me off there. With what you said.
It had to do. I honestly can't remember. Chat, help me out. It's been a minute.
I guess I was just gonna say, like, oh man, I wish I did remember what you said.
So I think.
Didn't you ask if
what makes them more qualified?
Yeah,
I don't
think
they're necessarily more qualified, but I think
I forgot too.
If you're a business owner or if you're a homeowner and your freaking like town is being destroyed by rioters that are at night, I think it's fine to say like, oh man, like I kind of like need to like protect my own business or my house. Like I don't see any problem with that. Like obviously we can talk about like the implications of what like the mass amount of militia groups have happened, but like of course I think maybe this is where you're trying to get at, is that like of course I'm going to admit that like with the rise of militia groups being more prominent, that is going to cause a backlash from other people. Right?
Okay, we've got that point. Okay,
yeah, no, I agree with that.
Okay.
But also I think one of the reasons that maybe like more militia groups have shown up is because some of these protests have spiraled into riots at the later ends of the night, and maybe that's why they show up. I mean, it's kind of hard to say what's a correlation, what's a causation.
I honestly think the correlation is they feel emboldened because we don't see them at places where just generally riots are happening, right? We see them at places where there are BLM protests. It doesn't matter whether riots or not; they're there.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Sure. I mean, yeah. If you want to talk about like militia groups that are like just going to like random protests and like being like, look at our guns. I mean, like obviously, especially because open carry is usually I'm not as favorable for that as concealed carry. So obviously, I'm going to say like, okay, chill out, guys. But I mean, when we're talking specifically about Kenosha, this had happened like what I think like 2 or 3 nights beforehand, and that's when they decided like, okay, we need to kind of like make sure our city doesn't get burned anymore. So I think that's fine. Anyway, we can move on from this point, I guess. We kind of
okay. Let's get into the real.
Yeah. So maybe we can start with like the first shooting.
Yeah. What's your theory of events?
Yeah. I mean, so I guess I could start by saying like there could be more evidence that comes out that would sway me otherwise, but from the evidence we have, I'm pretty confident saying he's most likely justified. And I guess my justification with that, to keep it like really as short as I can, is that like from what we understand, it looked like he was fleeing, and if a threat is neutralized, I don't think you then have a moral obligation to keep I guess pursuing that neutralized threat, which is what seemed to be going on with Rosenbaum going after Kyle. And then, actually, that's pretty good. So go
ahead. Do you know what the law states about it?
Well, I thought we were talking just morally. I'm not really as concerned with the law.
I don't have there's no moral justification in court for self-defense. There's a legal one.
Okay, but the law is a little different because these things can play out like super differently all the time, especially depending on state or just depending on general circumstance. And so, I don't
want to get into a circular debate about the morality of the shooting. That's
basically what it's kind of about, right? You say he's a murderer, I say he's not.
He is absolutely a murderer per the law because self-defense is an affirmative defense. Meaning he has to present it in court. So he's committed 2 counts of murder. He can claim he's innocent, but they're gonna sentence him. He has to present an affirmative defense, self-defense.
Give me 1 second. But I mean, I don't. I mean, as far as like the legality goes, still, I mean, like either side can make a good case, and I'm not like necessarily a lawyer. I don't really care about the legality.
Why would you not care about the legality of?
For the most part, in this, because what I say about it legally doesn't really matter whatsoever.
I mean, that's kind of the whole point. I mean, if you want to get into a justification about whether or not you think it was okay to shoot a person, flee the scene,
Do you
and then
think?
shoot two
Do you
more
think it was
people,
justified morally or not justified morally? I mean,
I think that's irrelevant. But if you want my point, my answer as a gun owner, I'm disgusted in him, and I'm disgusted at the people that support him.
okay, and I guess let's go into that. Why is that? I mean, let's talk about the first shooting, if that's okay. That way we can be like super specific. But like, I guess regarding that first shooting, why are you discussing him as yourself as a gun owner?
Because he antagonized the shooting. It's a legal and a moral problem.
How do you know he antagonized it though?
Because we have eyewitness reports.
Okay, well, if you can wait, do you have something you can send me? Is there a?
If you want to link, yeah, there's a private chat right here, and if you want to link it to me, I can pull it up on screen.
Okay.
I think you might be able to too. See that little button with the arrow on the screen? Or I can just do it. It doesn't matter. But yeah, there's a little private chat right here that just we can see. If you want to send something.
Maybe you can send it and then like talk through it with me, or you can talk through it.
The general premise is Kyle Rittenhouse is pointing guns at people. There was a guy on Facebook that was actually there. His name was like Joel Nope or something. Affirmed one of this. This guy's name's Jeremy. Says that Kyle Rittenhouse was pointing guns at him. There's also, I think they interviewed 8 people. I haven't gone through the whole article, but I've seen a few different videos and seen a few different testimonies as to Kyle Rittenhouse pointing a gun at people.
Here, I can highlight it here. Hold on.
Yeah, that'd help.
I'll scroll through it. You wanna?
Yeah, one of the guys' name was like Joel Nope. Someone tagged me in it a while ago on Facebook. Kyle Rittenhouse and his buddies were all pointing guns at him. That's why they were acting all buddy-buddy when that video popped up.
Just tell me when you want to move on, if you want to move on or whatever. Scroll down.
Joel, I'm looking for a Joel. I'm not seeing.
I
see a Jeremiah.
Yeah, is that the name you're talking about, Tommy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, Joel. I think it was Joel Nope or something that was on Facebook. This guy's name's Jeremiah, but there's other videos. I don't think it's included in that article. I just pulled up the one I was reading through earlier today, just as sort of a general source.
And what spot on this are you talking about specifically?
I think it's like the first paragraph.
First paragraph.
Oh, maybe it's not. Sorry.
Okay.
Do you want me to keep scrolling down or no?
Oh, I'll read it to you in a second. As he made his way toward it, he was talking about a exit through a parking lot or something like that. Jeremiah saw more armed white men, 2 crouched on the roof of a building, sniper style. 2 or 3 others stood guard over the lot. One of them, a baby face with a backward ball cap, raised an assault rifle and pointed it at him. Like 4 paragraphs in.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Are you just talking about that one specifically?
I mean, I've seen other ones. I honestly thought this would probably be more resolved around the law than anything. But yeah, that was the general consensus as he pointed the gun.
Yeah, okay, it's down here. I see what he's talking about. Yeah.
Wait, this is talking about 2. Wait, hold on. 2 or 3 men stand over the lot, and so it's saying that Kyle was one of these that stood guard over the lot. Is that it?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay.
I can't speak for all the testimonies in there, but I've seen videos. This is just one of the instances. I've seen at least three or four different examples of witnesses saying that they were pointing guns at people.
Right. Well, and like obviously, I think that's bad. But one of the issues I think is with this is that like number one, we don't even have a name. Like we don't even know if this is one of them. There's like one of the three that were standing guard, plus there was two on the roof. And
You still reading that?
Right. I think the general consensus,
Good.
and I mean, I'm not going to sit here and read it on live stream, but there was a guy named Joel Nope who said that the entirety of them was pointing guns at him, and they were also called out in a video that was on TikTok. Obviously, I mean, it's a while ago, so I don't have access to it, but they were called out for pointing guns at people by the protesters after Kyle Rittenhouse shot and killed two people.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt anyone knows where it is now. But if anyone had it in chat, I'd like to see it. But even then, even with, and this is kind of like always been my argument, is that like even if he was one of the people that like instigated the thing, from the evidence we have, he literally was retreating, which is like what you are told to do even if you have a gun, is that like you have a moral duty to retreat, and that seemed to be what he was doing. And so I don't know how anyone could even say that like it was not self-defense unless there was more evidence to come out, because even if he instigated it, he still was the one retreating.
Well, so I'm pulling up the law in Wisconsin. I had it up earlier. Oh, God damn it, I want the website. I could paraphrase it for you if you would like, but I don't know if you're going to want it verbatim. If you're going to ask me for it verbatim, I'll just
send it to me.
Well, just link it and I can pull it up if you want.
I'm trying to find the like, you know how they have like the bootleg guys trying to get the views? What's the
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
These comments are awesome in the chat.
Yeah, they're having quite a field day in here. It's always fun when you get two opposing like political views, and it goes pretty crazy.
Maybe I got it. Okay, here we go.
It keeps me entertained.
Before we get into this, I want to paraphrase the legal aspect of this, so that we have like everyone has a more cohesive understanding about what happened. Kyle provoked an attack. We're pretty aware of that. I'm pretty sure the police know that. We don't exactly know what led up, at least at the public eye. My assumption is they know what happened between Kyle Rittenhouse and Joseph Rosenbaum, but we don't have any idea, right? We just saw him running across the parking lot. From that,
if you guys can read that, or
I'll read it. I just in case he wants to pull it up or something.
I mean, I can read it kind of, but like I didn't know how clear his screen is.
I'll read it verbatim in a second. I'll just get through the talking point here. From that point, they're running across the parking lot. I had heard everything from there was a Molotov cocktail. It was a plastic bag, per the police report, per the criminal complaint. There was a gunshot that went off in the background. Kyle Rittenhouse turned at the end of the thing, shot Joseph Rosenbaum once in the hand, shot him once in the groin, and then shot him in the back of, I think it was the head, or the back of his. I think it was no. I don't think it was the head actually. I think it was the back, like his back. But shot him through his back as he was going through the ground.
Okay.
Up until that point, basically, that's the question: was Kyle Rittenhouse in the right? Because Wisconsin in 2014 said that they didn't want self-defense laws applying to vigilantes, right? Which Kyle
Rittenhouse. You say that one more time. It kind of squelched your
voice. The Wisconsin legislator said that they didn't want their law of self-defense applying to vigilantes. I think that was in 2014. I can pull it up for you in a minute if you like. I don't ever know if that was codified into law, but judicially, that's what they wanted to happen. So they did not want people like Kyle Rittenhouse being able to claim self-defense. That's his problem number one.
Okay.
Right. The biggest question is, when did the attack end, right? So in order for Kyle Rittenhouse to regain compliance so he could engage in self-defense, he has to he has to retreat from the fight in good faith.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is what the legislator says on this.
Way to pop that up now.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me highlight it. There.
Okay, so this is what it says. Provocation affects, this is section 2, subsection B. So it's talking everything. I just summarized section A, which says exactly what I said, which is you can't provoke an attack and then claim self-defense, right? The question is going to be, it basically states the privilege lost by provocation may be regained if the actor in good faith withdraws from the fight and gives adequate notice thereof to his or her assailant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have audio, but my assumption would be he probably didn't give very good adequate notice to Joseph Rosenbaum to stop.
Is adequate. Yeah, the adequate notice might be, and of course, I guess we're talking legally, at least for the time being. Adequate notice might be a little iffy. What was I going to say? Oh, actually, one second. Before I get into that subsection B, I do want to say you said something about a vigilante. I don't even think you can make the case that he was acting as a vigilante. I mean,
Wisconsin law is pretty strict on this. You can't shoot someone that's outside your house.
Oh, really? Well, maybe.
Yeah, or fleeing your property, gun in hand, nothing. A guy went to prison for doing that. So, but I have a question, right? Okay. So that's going to be the legal question. He shot at someone right after that. Could he have continued to run? That's going to be the legal question. He ran after he shot. Did the shot that went in the air turn him around? Yeah. So that's going to be the question. He's not going to, I doubt very much he's going to be able to use that shot that went up into the air in court, effectively at least, to say that he, legally speaking, had justification for shooting someone unrelated to that, especially when he didn't have adequate notice. But I just have a question.
You still reading that, Matt?
Oh, you can. You don't have to like make it like you can take it away. I have it opened on my computer.
Okay.
So I just have a question. Okay.
Okay.
Because I deal with this like it's more from a psychological standpoint, right? What would it take for you to chase down someone with an AR and try to disarm him?
Almost nothing, because when any or in any case, whether it is an active shooter or a perceived active shooter, you always have like a moral duty to retreat. And so like the idea of someone like going and running after him seems incredibly stupid to me. I don't mind saying about it.
So is it incredibly stupid, or did Kyle Rittenhouse do something incredibly stupid to provoke it, to make Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber feel like they needed to disarm him?
Yeah. I mean, he could have done something stupid. Obviously, well, and I already admitted, like, the fact that he was even there was, like, really dumb of him. Like, obviously, this kid was, not right for doing this. But aside from that, I don't know if that necessarily matters, because, like I said, I mean, they even teach you, they teach you that, like, not only do you have a moral duty to retreat in almost any situation, but, like, even if you have a gun, you have a duty to retreat. And that seems to be what Kyle was doing. And so, like, the idea that anyone thinks, oh, yeah, like we're in this big open space, literally in the streets, where riots are going on, 12 a.m. or, 12 in the night, and I'm going to go chase him down, like the guy with the gun, it seems very ridiculous to me.
Right. And two people try to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So are you victim blaming, or?
I'm not victim blaming. I don't think these guys were victims.
Why not?
Why not? Because I think I have a pretty good moral.
I don't care what you think. I care what you can prove.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I think I have a moral position that shows.
I don't. The law doesn't care about your moral position.
Yeah, because the law sucks.
Well, I'm sorry it's written. I don't know what to tell you. This isn't a philosophical debate. I mean, if you're not willing to take into account the rules of our society, we're having a philosophical debate on whether it's okay or not to murder someone.
No, obviously I think laws are important, but that's like one of the issues like with our laws is that like number one, they can often suck, which they often do because laws are
I
supposed
get
to be a
that.
reflection of our morals. And not only that, the way these things turn out can often be like really good or really bad. Like it's such a crapshoot. And so like not only I mean like it's so funny that like so many people are defending like such a like the legal system in this like well law is what it is after everyone is crapping on the legal system beforehand. Like I don't necessarily care about the law that much in this. I mean, I understand that like you care about the law because
So then you're doing exactly what I said you would do in that video. What people were doing, which was advocating for the furtherance of right-wing extremist ideology.
No, that is not what I'm doing. If I would,
that's literally what I said. You don't want to have a debate on the merits. You want to tell me how you feel.
Go. Hey, Tommy, let him finish. Go ahead.
Because you did talk for a little bit, and that was okay. But I spent like the first 20 or 30 minutes talking about how number one, I don't have any inherent like love or passion for these stupid militia groups. I don't have any inherent love for Kyle. I think most of what he did was really stupid, and so and then everything beyond that. And so to act like I'm like this big pusher of right wing extremism, even if it's like subconsciously or whatever, I don't care. I just think that like based on the evidence, I think we can make a pretty good justification for what he did. And even if you don't want to talk morals, like everything we're talking about is still morally loaded. I mean, especially because the law is literally like supposed to be based off of our morals, right? And so I think like for instance, you were like, I think he's a murderer. Obviously, you think he's done something wrong, and that doesn't. I don't imagine that you just think he did something wrong legally. I think you obviously think he did something wrong morally too, right? I just think he did something okay morally. Legally, it may play out different, and that's fine. But that's basically my spiel, I guess.
So he showed up. I don't understand what your argument is. He showed up to a protest, pointed guns at people. He crossed state lines. I don't know when he got the gun, and really, it's not that big of a deal. He came to a protest to defend property that wasn't his, in a state that wasn't his, with a gun that wasn't his. Right? Mm-hmm. Pointed guns at people, antagonized them into trying to stop him from violently acting out on other people, and then he shot and killed 2 of them.
I don't know what any of that has to do with anything, because I can sit here and talk to you all day about how I think this kid was an idiot, and I don't care for anything that these guys are pushing, which is something I believe. But
I don't know. You don't have an argument.
What do you mean I don't have an argument, bro?
Your argument is I think he did good.
Huh?
That's what your argument is. I think it's completely okay he unjustly shot and killed 2 people. That's your argument.
No,
you don't have a legal argument. You obviously didn't prep for that.
Because
you don't have a moral argument in any regard.
I do have a moral argument in the fact that
based on
it's
what?
so hilarious that you say that when you're the one who doesn't want to talk about morals, my guy. I mean, like,
what do you think laws are?
Laws are
they're a reflection of moral values.
Often very, very badly, which especially in this case, I think that is the case. That's why
Wisconsin gun laws, Wisconsin self-defense laws are in line with most other states.
What does that have to do with what I just said? Just because they're in line with other states doesn't make them morally good or bad.
Can someone, maybe you driven, can tell me what his argument is? Because he doesn't have one.
Well, it seems like one of you is arguing the morals and you're arguing legalese. It seems like.
Well, I don't understand how you're going to make an moral argument when he's just murdered 2 people. Well, he is a murderer. Per the law,
I think you guys have to figure out whether you want to argue on if it's legal on the legal basis or if you want to argue on the moral basis.
Well, I think
because you're making 2 different arguments basically.
Right, but his moral argument is I think it's okay.
No, I have a whole moral argument. If you
said it's okay, play the clip back.
No. All I'm saying is you're just. All I'm saying is
what I've taken away from it is that you. Your moral argument is that it might be unjustified as far as the law goes, but the law necessarily doesn't mean that it's not morally correct. Just because you go to jail for something doesn't mean that it's morally incorrect or correct.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's basically, so you're that. I mean, you guys are kind of talking past each other in that sense. Is
if you want me to expound upon my moral argument again, because I
would love you to, because it's okay. Doesn't look good.
I already said the moral. I don't know if you just forgot, but like I mean, like it was literally like 20 minutes ago. I said in any active shooter case or perceived active shooter case, you have a duty to retreat. We talked about this. I don't know if you remember. And I said,
a duty based on what?
You just said, do you want me to I asked you, do you want me to give my moral argument? And then you're talking about law.
Do.
Why are you invoking the law if you wanted me to give you Hold on.
Why go ahead, break the go ahead.
If you're asking me about my moral argument, why did you just invoke the law? Do you want me to give my moral case or not?
Because what standard are we supposed to use? You just arbitrarily decide that I'm going to use this standard? That you have a moral duty to retreat?
Do you know what morals are?
That's your standard?
Do you know what ethics are? Okay.
What are you talking about? Maybe those guys have a moral duty to stop an active shooter.
Maybe you just have a fundamental misunderstanding of what morals are. Do you base your morals off of the law? Because maybe you just don't get it.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I just made a video about it. Can you pull it up on stream?
No, that's okay. That's okay. If that's what you're saying.
So yeah, you make your moral argument and then you can rebut it. I think that's the best thing we can do here.
Okay. Then don't, if I'm going to make a moral argument, then let's not invoke the law because it just doesn't make sense. My moral argument, as I said before, is in any active shooter case or perceived active shooter case, you have a moral duty to retreat. Number one, the people who he shot were not retreating; they were going after him, attacking. And number two, in both instances, he was the one retreating. And the threat was neutralized, obviously, because he was retreating. And so once the threat is neutralized, I don't think you can make a moral case that it's not self-defense.
Is that it?
That's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I can already tell you that Kyle Rittenhouse, regardless of the law or what the law says, by the definition of provoked an attack upon himself.
What does this have to do? Do you want to talk about the law or do you not want to talk about the law? I'm so confused.
That's not a law. That's a definition. We can pull it up.
Wait, say what you just said again. You were just
I said Kyle Rittenhouse provoked an attack upon himself.
Oh, okay. Okay, if you're going with the moral argument that he provoked it and therefore he's not justified.
If someone points a gun at you, is it not provoking?
That's not the question. The question is, do we disagree on if you provoke someone, do you then, actually the question is, I don't think that they then have they are justified in attacking him if he provokes them and then the threat is neutralized. That is what I've been saying as far as my moral argument.
Wait, what? Back that up. Say that again.
What I'm saying is, even if he did provoke them, the threat was then neutralized when he retreated, meaning he was justified. So, for instance, you want me to give you? I can give you a hypothetical, super quick.
So, do you not think? Hold on. Okay, this is a weird moral route to take.
It's not
bizarre. It's beyond bizarre. Do you not think, if you think you have a moral duty, right? You think it's universal, right? You think it's a universal moral duty to retreat?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes or no?
Can you say it one more time?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think it is a moral duty, a universal moral duty for people to retreat?
I think in almost any case where there is a gun, your first duty is to try and retreat. And this is why I'm so confused on why you said it's a weird
fight or flight, and he picked flight.
Hold on. This is why I think it's weird that you say this is a weird moral argument, because almost any job or school will tell you this. Like, for instance, when you go to university or whatever, like they'll say your first duty is to retreat or hide, and then the very last thing you do is fight.
No.
Yeah.
You have a reaction. Okay, let me explain to you a physiological reaction, because I know that you don't know this. I went to school for criminal justice, okay? And you have a physiological reaction to stress. They teach about it a lot in school. It's called fight or flight. What happens is your adrenaline starts pumping, and you're either going to fight or you're going to flight, right? And compounding the instance that this kid is pointing guns at all sorts of random people, do you not think that someone would have, I don't know, just the psychological wherewithal to think maybe this kid might start shooting some random people? Does
Obviously,
that not
they may.
concern you? If someone morally bankrupt, was pointing a gun at someone and pointing a gun at multiple other people,
Okay.
I know you might not feel an obligation to stop him, but do you think that other people might feel a moral obligation? Because there are at least 3 that felt a moral obligation to stop an active shooter.
It doesn't matter what like they feel. If they feel like their moral obligation is to skip the first 2 steps and go straight to going after.
Do you think there's
hold on.
What do you mean skip?
Hey, just let him finish. Yeah.
Yeah, just 1 second.
You guys are talking over each other a lot.
Yeah. I'll get to your point. All I'm saying is like, oh man, you threw me off. Okay, when you even if someone has that thought like, oh, I should go and attack instead of retreat, even if they feel that, and I guess you're almost getting into like optimal response, but even if you did that, the only like you can, out of all the possibilities you can stem from that, you're almost always going to result in more harm than good. And so that's why most of these active shooter drills or templates or whatever, they always start with the hide or retreat, and then the last resort is to engage. Because if you just go ahead and engage, you're going to almost always result in more harm than good.
That sounds like a training manual. That doesn't sound like a moral argument.
No, this often comes as a manual or whatever, but my moral argument comes from why those are even manuals to begin with. For instance, like everyone may think it's a good idea to like go and attack Kyle, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good idea, number one. And not only that, it can lead to more harm. And so if you're trying to reduce the amount of harm as much as possible, then you want to take the actions that will reduce the most amount of harm as possible. And that's why most people, when they're talking about guns, when they're talking about active shooter drills or whatever, the last thing that they say you should do is attack.
Do you have people you care about?
Yes.
Okay, if someone was pointing a gun at someone you cared about, say your mom or your dad, would you feel a moral obligation to run away?
I would feel a moral obligation for both of us to try and retreat first. I think that makes sense.
So that's a no.
What was the specific question again?
If someone was pointing a gun at your mom, dad, significant other, someone you care about, would you feel the moral obligation to retreat or try and disarm them?
Well, it's not about what I feel in the moment necessarily, because like, okay.
Now it's not about what you feel. Well, the whole time you want to talk about what you feel, man. Look, if you don't got a good argument, you're just going to keep running in circles here.
Okay.
You want to talk about how you feel the whole time, and then as soon as I ask you how you feel, you tell me you don't want to talk about how you feel.
No. What I feel about a situation that I'm not even connected to or happens in the future or the past, that's totally different than what you feel in the moment. Just because do you realize?
That's the point. That's what I'm talking about, psychological fight or flight. What do you think people are reading the manual like, guy's got a gun out. Which way do I react? No, your body just reacts.
Okay.
Your body will just react.
I mean, I guess, but I don't know what this has to do with like the more.
It has to do with it because you're making a moral opinion based on whether or not Kyle should have shot someone or not, based on how they physiologically reacted in a stressful situation.
Okay. I still don't know what this has to do with it, though. I mean, like
you're trying to make a moral argument about whether or not Kyle Rittenhouse was okay to murder people when he was pointing guns at people. In the chats, where's the pointing guns? There's fucking videos. They're on TikTok. I watched them.
Don't worry about the chat. The chat's a chat.
I know. I'm just getting to them because they're all saying the same shit. Same shit I already got to.
Again,
you can't judge a moral based on how somebody reacts in a certain situation, right? Like if your mom jumps out and scares you, right, behind a door and you punch her in the face, is it morally wrong? No, it was a reaction. It wasn't intended.
I mean, I guess I could understand that, but still, like just because, I mean, in almost any case.
And So where did you get the moral duty to retreat? I don't know why I'm entertaining this, but where'd you get the moral duty to retreat?
This is hilarious. Wait, what do you mean by that? Like, where?
Well, you've arbitrarily decided that there is a moral duty to retreat.
I think. Oh yeah, I had explained it already. I mean, number one, you can look at tons of active shooter drills or manuals or whatever shooting courses teach this.
Okay,
And
assume they didn't have.
Wait, just let him. Yeah, just let him.
I'm almost done. And the reason I draw the morality from that type of template basically is because when you look at like all the possible outcomes that could stem from engaging first, they're almost always going to result in more harm than good. And so I think you then have to think about, okay, well, what would be the best way to look at this morally? And so you should probably try. We would always try to want to have the least harm done, and so you have to go from there. And so I think that makes sense to go with why you have a moral duty to retreat first. Does that make sense?
You got your morals from a Kroger training manual.
I guess you just didn't understand what I said. I mean, I can explain.
I did. You said there's a moral duty to retreat because it's less dangerous.
Yes. Yeah. Because if you do you not see the issues that could stem from engaging first?
No, they didn't engage first.
What do you mean?
Kyle Rittenhouse pointed the gun at them.
But the threat was
he was pointing the gun at other people.
The threat was neutralized.
How was the threat neutralized?
He was running away
with a gun that he was pointing at people, towards people.
The threat was new. Okay, let me set up a hypothetical. If I come up to you and I have a gun and I say like I'm going to shoot you, and then I'm like whatever, never mind, and then I walk away and I'm like 20 feet away, you don't then have the right to just open up on me. Like I don't understand.
Just to clarify, but wasn't it? I'm pretty sure didn't he shoot the first person and then run down the street and say, "I just shot somebody"? Wasn't that what happened? And kind of went from there.
Yeah, what happened was
okay.
Or do you want me to? I mean, I can explain that if you want, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I've seen the video. Essentially, what happened was Rosenbaum was running after him. He shot, and then he stayed there and was helping McGinnis, who was the Daily Caller guy. He was looking over him. McGinnis said, "Call for help" or whatever, and so he called on his cell phone. And the person he was talking to on the phone, he said, "I think I just killed a guy," or he might have said, "I just killed a guy."
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, he started seeing, because behind the cars, because this was a car lot, he saw like more people coming after him, and so he started running down the street, and again, he was retreating.
Okay. I feel it was a moral imperative. This is completely satire, just so we're aware. I feel it was a moral imperative for that guy, that Antifa member in Portland, to shoot that fascist. This is what you're saying.
I don't know if I know enough about
you're like I feel. I don't care what you feel. He fled the scene of a murder, unprovoked.
He didn't flee the scene. He literally went to the cops and tried to turn himself
in. Pull it up after he shot Joseph Rosenbaum. I will send you the video.
He went to his house, didn't he?
No, when he shot Joseph Rosenbaum, okay?
Okay.
There's a saying in law, right? Oh, I don't, but it's a saying. You flee, you're guilty. Flight is guilt.
He stayed there. Hold on. Maybe we just don't remember the video.
No, I don't just remember. Hold on.
He stayed, right? Go ahead.
I'll pull it up. You guys go ahead.
Pull up the video after he shot Joseph Rosenbaum.
Mm-hmm.
After he shot Joseph Rosenbaum, okay, he was standing there. He called his friend per the criminal complaint, right? As Gavin was helping out that guy that was just shot. He said, "I just fucking killed someone," right? That's what the police initially reported on. Apparently, he had told his friend that he said he was going to prison for the rest of his life. He stood there for about 15 to 30 seconds, unprovoked. He started running. He is an active shooter. I'm not going to judge someone else's moral position on trying to stop an active shooter and whether they should have fought him or not. That's irrelevant.
Okay, so you realize like there was another like whole like group of people that were running after him, right?
No, there wasn't. Not until he started running. Pull up the video.
I mean, it's not necessarily so easy to just say that that's what happened.
Pull up the video.
I've seen the video, bro. And he's literally pulling up the video, so it's it's okay. It's okay. Just chill.
It says that he 2 kids, new record details. Kyle Rittenhouse surrendered to hometown cops after a rifle was used. So it's.
I just want to say, like, if I don't know if you guys have seen like the end of the second video, he literally has his hands up, walking towards the cops, and they tell him to get out of.
Still not surrendering.
Huh?
Still not surrendering.
What do you mean?
It's not surrendering when you flee to another state.
No. Do you not understand what I'm saying? Like, at the end of this whole situation, he walked down the street towards where the cops were, because the cops weren't in that area. They were down the street. And he had his hands both up. I don't know if maybe he just didn't see this part. He had his hands both up, surrendering to the cops. They were
he didn't surrender. He didn't legally surrender. Are you not hearing what I'm saying? Did the police take him into custody? He could have made it clear.
Ruben, are you looking up the videos you said?
I am looking at the video.
Yeah, I got the video. Hold on.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying, Tommy?
It's not legally surrendering. Now we want to talk about legally.
No, I mean, do you not realize what he was doing, though? I mean, obviously, the legal is going to get a little different as far as surrendering in that situation, because, like, the cops weren't hardly doing anything at all in the first place. Not even just with Kyle. They weren't doing much at all. They were, like, literally staying away from any of those situations because they were just like...
What does that have to do with Kyle surrendering?
Because you're like, okay, well, he did a legal wrong by not surrendering, but the problem was, like, it's like if he tried to surrender, it wouldn't matter what he legally did wrong or right, because he tried to do the legal right, but the cops just weren't like paying attention.
Oh, yeah. Did he call the cops?
I don't know if he called the cops, but he literally was standing.
He surrendered the next day. That was what.
Yeah. Okay, but like,
I'm just saying. I'm not just letting y'all know exactly what happened. Here's the video if you guys want to watch it.
Yeah, let's watch it.
All right.
I think this is the second one. We need the first one.
Can you guys hear it? All right.
Oh yeah, I can hear it.
Okay.
You think that's morally okay?
Just to be clear, he wasn't shooting there. You can see his guns pointed down. Some people were saying that he was shooting right there.
While you're here, if you could like the stream, I'd really appreciate it, by the way.
Oh, look at those hands go up. Look at those hands go up.
He didn't surrender himself. I don't know what to tell you. And I wasn't even talking about this one.
Hold on. Yeah, keep letting it go, because they like tell him to get out of the road. Yeah, he said, get the F out of there. Or maybe he said out of the way.
Someone injured straight ahead.
So, is that not surrendering in any sense of the word?
He didn't surrender. I don't know what to tell you. He didn't call the cops. He called his buddy, but that's not what I'm talking about. Go to the other. Can you pull up the other video?
What video?
The one after Joseph Rosenbaum. I was going to go through it. But
what does that? Wait, hold on. What does the other video have to do with that? Because that was literally before this video that we just watched. He was going. In fact,
okay.
Hold on. I can actually.
I can't even bring up a legal argument because it's irrelevant to you.
Hold on, just real quick. I could even make a better case for me, because even if you said like, oh, well, those group of people were not running after him, running down the street. I can make an even better case that he was surrendering himself. He knew that the cops were down there, and they weren't going into that area. They were just like not doing their job in that area because of whatever reason. And he was going towards them. He was literally, I don't know if you realize that, like, those two situations were on the same street. And he ran towards the cops, surrendering himself with his arms up. I don't know how you can call that surrendering.
His phone worked, right? Why didn't he call the cops and tell them he just murdered someone like you're supposed to do after a self-defense shooting?
Well, you wanted to talk about, like, what people do in the heat of the moment. Maybe he just didn't.
He had enough wherewithal to tell his friend, to call his friend and talk to his friend.
Okay. I mean,
he had enough wherewithal to run. Look, here's the deal. Anthony Huber, right? And this is why he's going to prison, okay? And because I don't know, I don't care if you don't want to hear the legal reasoning behind it. He shot recklessly at Gavin, right? He shot and killed Joseph Rosenbaum. He provoked the attack, so it can't be considered intentional homicide, right?
Possibly, based on what the law says, but keep going.
He shot him in the back.
No. Possibly based on, like, the provocation clause, which was that 2B you were talking about, but we just didn't get into that.
So that's why it can't be considered intentional, because he didn't intend for the situation to escalate like that, right? And he killed him because he provoked the situation. That's why they're giving him first-degree homicide, but without intent for Joseph Rosenbaum, right? They're giving him a case of reckless endangerment with a firearm for Gavin. He shot at someone else during that, right? I don't know which clip it was in or which one they shot it. I don't know if it was after he shot Joseph Rosenbaum, because it was here in the but it was also another one, right?
It was in that one we just watched, I think.
I think it was someone down the street on that one, right? Yeah.
It was. I think the one you're talking about is the one, like, that instinct, like, on that street. The first guy that runs up, he, like, tries to like jump on him and kick him in the face, and he shoots at that guy, but he misses.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was a guy further down the street that the bullet whizzed past his head or something. The reason that he is getting charged with intentional homicide for Anthony Huber and attempted first-degree intentional homicide for the other guy, I can't remember his name, is because he fled the scene. Is because he fled the scene of the crime. They have the legal right under common law to disarm an active shooter. And I don't think it gets any more morally in line than with common law.
We might just fundamentally disagree on this, but
I mean, because from my perspective, this is what I'm hearing from the right? I'm seeing zero evidence to back up why it's self-defense. I'm seeing moral arguments. I'm seeing rhetorical arguments, and all of it is to basically state that these people are bad and they shouldn't have lived. It's there because you're literally sitting there saying these guys, he didn't provoke the attack. It stopped, and then he killed them. That's what I'm hearing, is these absurd justifications, and have been, to justify Kyle Rittenhouse murdering people.
Okay, first off, I just want to say, like, number one, I still haven't seen enough information to actually be convinced that he even provoked these people. Like, I mean, if you could find him, that's great. But I still don't even have, like, the evidence. Like, we have, like, a possible, maybe it was him.
I mean, they're going to have multiple. I don't have to prove anything to you. The only thing, Kyle Rittenhouse, the only way he's getting out of prison is if he gets a jury nullification, which I find.
What does that have to do with anything, bro? Like, you're literally, your whole argument is based on how he was provoking people, and I see you haven't even given me that evidence.
I literally sent you the thing.
It doesn't say it was Kyle. It literally says one of these three guys that, maybe possibly could have been Kyle pointed a gun at him, and like that was it.
Line. But apparently it doesn't matter to you because they stopped the argument. Remember, now you're changing your tactic here. Because it doesn't matter because he tried to retreat, remember?
No, you're pivoting so hard, dude.
I'm not pivoting. I'm saying
you are pivoting. The only reason I brought up
this is where you want to posture at?
The reason I
morally one at a time.
The only reason I brought up the provoking at all is because you can't stop talking about it. Like, you talk about it, you've been talking about it the whole time, which is fine. The only reason I bring up the provoking thing about, like, how like you haven't even provided the provoking evidence yet.
I literally did.
Is because she did, but is because like that's like what you've been saying this whole time is like half of what your argument is, which is legal, is based on this provocation, which I still haven't even gotten the evidence for. And then also number two, and then after this, I'll let you go ahead. You were talking about like the surrendering and like we just might have a fundamental disagreement on this. But like I think you can definitely say he surrendered. I don't know how like him walking towards police with his hands up is not surrendering to you, especially when like this isn't just a normal situation that happens on the city streets of like New York City in the middle of the day. This is literally at midnight during riots. Obviously, the police aren't going to be acting, and they didn't act as if they normally do. And so, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's surrender, but maybe we just fundamentally disagree on that.
I think if your argument is that, I mean, you're finding some weird, morally bankrupt way to justify. I mean, are you a gun owner?
Oh yeah, I'm a gunner.
Okay, that worries me.
That's fine. I mean, I don't.
So
You're
worries me because of the lengths that you're willing to go to. If you don't know what self-defense is or isn't, how are you supposed to engage in it when it happens? If you don't legally know what your rights are to self-defense, how are you supposed to engage in it?
I mean, I guess I can understand that, but still, I don't even know like how you've given me like a good argument for your legal case of self-defense. I mean, like obviously, I already know that like provocation is a big aspect of it, but even then,
Right.
like you can't even prove the provocation part. Like I don't even understand what you're like.
I don't need to. The prosecutors are going to. I've seen numerous reports of it.
But okay.
So that's why I asked you when we first started, what do you think is more likely? That Kyle Rittenhouse provoked them into trying to disarm him, or that they randomly decided they were going to be the aggressor and take him down? What makes more sense?
What
It's
can you
called
repeat those two?
reasonable. What?
Can you repeat those two? Like
I said, what makes more sense? That Joseph Rosenbaum, Anthony Huber, and the other guy that was shot are just randomly attacking this 17-year-old kid for no reason. Out of all of the 20 militia members, they just happened to pick him, right? Or that they felt a necessity to disarm him.
I mean, we don't necessarily know exactly why they were even going after
Like
him.
reasonable. Like
Well, we know why. Like we know why Huber and the other guys were going after him because of the Rosenbaum situation, but we don't even know why Rosenbaum went after him. And the whole reason that you're saying that Rosenbaum was going after him in the first place, the provocation, is again something you haven't proved to me yet.
Okay, sources don't work anymore. It's a moral argument, I guess.
Do you want me to read off what you gave me? It
I
says
just
two
did.
or three others stood guard over the lot. One of them, a baby face with a backward ball cap, raised an assault rifle and pointed at him. This could have possibly been Kyle, but we don't even know. And if you have other stuff, you could give it to me. But
I don't have any off the cuff. I don't. That's not the point. Is to say it was Kyle Rittenhouse. That's not the point. The point is to say that there was a series of behavior going on at these protesters with these militia members pointing guns at people. So is it reasonable to deduct that based on that, the eyewitness accounts of people saying that he pointed the guns at him, right? Is it reasonable to deduct that they were trying to disarm him for reasons other than they're just crazy?
No, well, I never said they were crazy for trying to disarm him. I said they were. I said they were doing something that I don't think that's a good idea. I never said that they were crazy for trying to go after him. I don't remember saying that. Do you? I said they were wrong to do it. I said they were stupid.
I can't. Driven, can you sort this out? I have no idea what this kid's saying.
What? I don't know what you all. I
I
don't know.
I don't know
what you want me to sort out.
Your argument is it's a moral imperative that Kyle Rittenhouse killed these people.
No, I did not. I said
you're implying it. You're like that's what when I made that video.
Oh my gosh, how dishonorable.
When I made that video, right? Because you said it was okay. I don't know. We can play it back. But when I made that video, I said that people like you were justifying what right-wing extremists want to have happen in this country. That was the video I made. And you're doing it now. You don't have any legal evidence. You haven't provided any sources. Morally, I think it was okay. I don't fucking care. Frankly, it's a waste of my time. You don't have an argument.
What do you want sources to, dude? I've
The
given
manual that they should have been reading before they got shot.
My gosh. I mean, I could try and find like an active shooter drill, but even then, you're just like conflating so many different things. Like I never said like, oh, they need to read like a Kroger's like active shooter drill. I'm saying like,
well, because you're making a moral assumption. I've never been through an active shooter drill. Anthony Huber was the same age as me. Joseph Rosenbaum was older. Why would I make any assumption that they knew how to act in an active shooter drill? It's not something you get put through every day. Why would I blame them? Why would I say that this kid pointing a gun at them shouldn't be blamed for killing 2 people and fleeing the scene? And your argument is, well, he tried to turn himself into the police. I don't give a fuck. He had a phone. He drove 30 miles away. He could have drove to the fucking police station and waited till morning. But he fled.
Drove to the police station. He walked to the police car. What are you talking about?
Is that your argument? Is ignorance is no excuse of the law?
You haven't even.
Sorry, dude. This is the most absurd shit I've ever had to sit through, and I go through Omegle. I'm sorry, Driven, but this is just absurd. You don't have an argument. Why am I here?
I mean, it doesn't matter to me if you think the argument's absurd or not. But let me just. Your basic argument is that Kyle was justified because they showed force. Towards him. So by him having a gun, they should assume lethal force if they aggress him.
Yeah, my argument is if you brand a firearm, like saying like you're willing to take things to a lethal intent, and you're the one who's retreating, the threat is totally neutralized.
Based on what?
You don't.
Based on what?
He's retreating.
Based on what? It's not based on the law. So what's that based on?
What are you talking about, dude?
Not. What is the moral? What is the morality in retreating?
Hold on.
Where does it come from? It doesn't come from the law.
Just let him.
I want to answer Driven's.
Break it.
Yeah. What I'm saying is like I don't remember exactly where I was, but like if you've brandished a firearm and you've shown that you're willing to take things to a lethal intent. Of course, I'm talking more morally right now. And
this is you're talking. Yeah. This is basically the argument Destiny made. I watched him and Vosh's debate.
Exactly. I don't. Yeah. Anyway.
But you can explain it for everybody in the chat or whatever. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. But you're willing to take things to a lethal intent, and then the threat has then been neutralized, which it was by him running away. He was retreating, which is something that like literally again you can learn in any like active shooter drill or even a shooting guide or whatever. Then I don't think you then cannot claim self-defense, if that makes sense, because the threat has already been neutralized. If that makes sense.
Neutralization of a threat doesn't mean the threat leaves. There's other people there. If they're pointing guns at people, he's still an active threat.
But
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, but morally, if someone's like, if like someone's just standing around with a gun, then you don't get the like right to then just attack them. That's like one of the issues.
If a guy walks into a bank, points a gun at someone, walks out, right?
Okay, hold on.
I think he should be able to walk.
This is a terrible analogy.
It's not.
Yes, it is. A bank is somewhere where you're not supposed to have a gun, and is
he's 17. He's not supposed to have a gun.
Yeah, but no one there.
No.
Hold on.
Look, I love your channel. I can't. I'm going to give you one chance to make a coherent argument, and then I'm going to go because it's ridiculous.
I mean, that's up to you. Well, let me see if I can. What do you feel the moral obligation or the morals of the people in the crowd? I mean, if you overhear someone saying, "Oh, I just shot somebody," and they're brandishing a gun, I mean, obviously they don't know what's in his head. What would you? I mean, I guess that would be the counter to your to the argument you're making. What is like at that point? Like basically, the way I've seen this argued is it up to Kyle to give himself up to the mob and surrender, or is he to just fire at will? Basically, if that's the moral dilemma. I would say if you're making a argument on moral grounds.
Well, I also
in my opinion.
No, right. I also wanted to say, like, crap. you totally made me miss it. Oh yeah, the bank analogy. I just wanted to say before I answer that, Trippin, if this is okay. The reason the bank analogy is like totally awful is because you're when someone walks into a bank with a gun, you know that person is not supposed to have a gun there. The difference is in the streets where there's rioting, no one there knew that he was 17 and carrying a gun illegally. It's totally different to them that he's just another guy with a militia group that has a gun. You can't. Do you not realize that there's a total difference there?
Well, I get it, but didn't you say at the beginning you weren't okay with open carry?
No, I'm okay with open carrying, but I will defend. But I think concealed carrying is better than open carrying.
All right, but on from the bank thing or whatever. But what would you? What is the moral? I mean, obviously, the crowd, doesn't, like I said, they're not in his head. What would you like?
Right.
I mean, that's the moral dilemma as far as I could see. If you're arguing, that point of it.
The second instance is a little bit harder. I think Kyle probably has more moral standing in the first instance, but in the second one, it's a little harder because the question is, do you have a moral obligation to like commit yourself to the mob if they think you've done something unjust? And I still think I would side on the side of Kyle with that, even though it's a little bit harder, because to him, well, hold on, because still he is doing his job morally, he's retreating, and then he has all these people coming after him. And I don't think you can say that you have a moral obligation to commit yourself to a mob when you always feel that you've done something that was just, I guess, if that makes sense.
So I mean, on that note, I mean, you guys just fundamentally disagree. I would say, like,
so, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this isn't. I know wasn't really like a debate. This is more of like a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I see, like, you guys just kind of like that's the thing. And you guys just kind of fundamentally disagree on that issue.
Can you just do me one favor, Progressive?
Shoot.
Can you pull up the video at the gas station where Kyle Rittenhouse runs away from the scene of a murder unprovoked?
You talking about the Rosenbaum video?
Right.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
It might be a little hard to find, but the one where
I already found it.
Unprovoked.
I think this is it anyway. Did he just bounce?
No.
Or did he lose connection? I think he might have lost connection. Sure, I'll be back. Yeah, I think this is it. Oh, God damn it. There it is.
What the Oh.
Hold on. I think this is it. Oh, that's...
Said Heather Rosenblum sent me likes, and I think Joseph's wife's name was Heather.
I think this is it.
Rosenblum.
Is it Rosenbaum or Blum?
What do you mean? Guys, I like the chat is ridiculous. He didn't bring any facts at all. You guys are just fascists.
His fans are gonna celebrate him. Your fans are gonna. I mean, that's just how chats go.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm being aggressive, but what in the fuck was this?
Hey man, I'm just here for the likes.
Oh my god!
I think he's back. Is he back? He's back. Yep.
See, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see you. All right, I'm gonna full screen the video.
Wait, if Kyle Rittenhouse runs unprovoked, will you admit I'm right?
Well, I'm confused on what the context here.
So after Joseph Rosenbaum was shot, if Kyle Rittenhouse runs from that unprovoked, will you admit I'm right?
On what specifically? Will I admit that you're right?
When Joseph Rosenbaum fled the scene, when Kyle Rittenhouse fled the scene of Joseph Rosenbaum unprovoked, will you admit I was right?
But right about what? What are you saying that you're right about?
That the idea of your argument being a more imperative that he ran from a scene unprovoked. Because your whole argument is that he's getting chased by the mob, right?
My argument is that, like, number one, he's getting chased by the mob. Number two, I think you could also make the case that he is surrendering to the cops who are down the street.
He didn't surrender. He didn't call the cops. He had a phone. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and play it, and then
Go ahead.
we'll figure out afterwards.
Said they were there to protect businesses were gathered in Kenosha.
I think.
Among the armed men was 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse.
We don't have non-lethal.
Using multiple videos.
God, he's such a
obtained
baby
and
face.
verified by ABC News, as well as the criminal complaint against
I think
Rittenhouse
it's
filed
coming
on
up here.
August 27.
Because I scrolled through and it showed it.
A detailed timeline of the shootings that happened
Yeah, here we
in
go.
downtown Kenosha
Hold on, let me.
can be heard speaking to the group.
We appreciate you guys, we really do.
At 11:48 p.m., gunshots ring out.
Yeah, this is it.
First 4 bursts, then 3. A man who police identified as Rittenhouse runs across the parking lot of an auto service shop, followed by a shirtless man who is later
Is that what you're talking about
identified as
specifically right there?
Nope.
Moments later.
Oh, you're talking
shots
about
ring
after this. Okay.
and the shirtless man falls to the ground. A figure who appears to be Rittenhouse continues running. Seconds later, he comes back into view, and bystanders arrive to help the victim. Rittenhouse can be seen standing by the body making a phone call. As more people arrive, he runs away out of frame, and someone seems to be heard saying, "I shot somebody."
Boom. Over.
At
Debate
11:49,
done.
multiple
Thank you
videos
very
show
much.
Rittenhouse
Wait,
running down the
wait,
street.
what does this prove?
Hit him.
He ran
Rittenhouse
and
is
fled
being
the
chased
scene
by
of a
several
murder.
people when he
Hold on,
enters
hold
the
on. But you don't understand the.
I'm
whole-
sorry, you've lost.
No. This doesn't prove anything because my whole argument about the mob was that literally, if you're looking at the video, on the left side behind the cars, which is where the street was where the other group of people were coming from.
Yeah, he's an active shooter, and they have the right to disarm him because he's fleeing the scene of a murder unprovoked. Those protesters
see what
don't
I'm
have to
saying, Trevor?
decide. Those protesters don't have to decide if it was self-defense. That's not how that works. They get to take him as an active threat and an active shooter. It's been real, but I'm so over it.
Hold on, Driven. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh well, I guess he's gone.
I mean, it's just at the end of the day, man. It's just honestly, two of the guys I know we all watched debate. Vosh and Destiny went at this for 3 hours, and it's just if you believe that he shouldn't give himself up to the mob, or if you believe he should, that's pretty much it's just where you lie on that morally. I mean, that's the way I see it. You know what I mean? It's just if you're making the moral argument, then it's just should he give himself up to the mob or should he not?
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I think that one he has a little less moral standing than the first instance. But I just want to say for everyone in the chat that so partisan. I do want to let you guys remember that he couldn't even give a moral argument. I understand. I talked about the legal side, which was the provocation clause, and he wouldn't even touch the moral argument because he just doesn't understand morals. But this was fun. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, if you want to, I'm going to have more I've been having a lot of lefties on. I'm going to have some other, more right-leaning people on. So, yeah, just DM me or something on Instagram or whatever. But everybody in the chat, if you could like on the way out, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in and giving your respected creator shit or whatever. So, yeah, peace out.
Hey, thanks. I'll see you guys.